sponsored by the Museum of Discovery and Science in downtown Fort Lauderdale and its newest exhibit, Thomas and Friends Explore the Rails. Visitors of all ages can explore the island of Sodor and so much more. Full steam ahead at NODS.org.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include offering their premium travel card, InsureX. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Details at CapitalOne.com. And listeners like you who donate to this NPR station.
We have a less than 10% chance of rain today. Highs in the mid-80s. inclusive of violations of international law. We must be very clear that all violations of international humanitarian law will not be tolerated by the international community, and that there will be accountability for these violations. That's whether it's blockades, it's collective punishment, it's the bombardment of civilian infrastructure, the killing of civilians, and the taking of hostages. All of this will be accountable under international law.
So we've been hearing from Palestinians the term genocide. We heard that from a young woman just now on our air a few minutes ago. When you look at this, how do you view it?
We're investigating laws of war violations by both sides, and we have found serious abuses that amount to war crimes, and they include summary killings, hostage taking, deliberate blocking of aid, and collective punishment. And we've also seen that both sides have been firing heavy weapons into populated areas, which has meant large amounts of civilian casualties, and these are all grave violations of international humanitarian law and the laws of war.
Tirana Hassan is the executive director of Human Rights Watch. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
This is NPR News.
You're listening to WLRN. I'm Michael Stock. Good morning. Coming up on Morning Edition, drugs Ozempic and Wegovy both cause dramatic weight loss. Researchers have found that the hormones these drugs are mimicking can also be triggered by eating certain foods.
We're funded by WLRN members and by Nova Southeastern University. For more than 30 years, NSU and Broward County have joined forces to monitor 24 miles of Florida coastline to protect endangered sea turtles. More at nova.edu/turtle.
On the next Fresh Air, how a black socialite in Harlem became an instrumental force in helping to fund the civil rights movement. We'll talk with historian Tanisha Ford about Molly Moon and how our opulent parties created a secret financial network made up of wealthy white donors, black elites, and everyday working class black people. Join us.
Fresh Air, today at noon on WLRN.
Rapid virtual eye care appointments are a quick and easy way to connect with doctors. From Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, the #1 ranked eye hospital in the country by U.S. News and World Report. You can address common eye concerns like itchy, pink, swollen, or watery eyes, and more in the blink of an eye. All you need is a laptop, smartphone, or tablet. You can learn more at rapideyecare.com.
Next time on Sundial, can Miami artists afford to stay local? Alex Baena is trying to find solutions to the housing affordability crisis in Miami-Dade County. He's the Director of Public Housing and Community Development. He'll tell us how he's working to make sure Miami can keep local talent. I'm Carlos Frias. Join us on Sundial.
Sundial, today at 1 on WLRN. We have a less than 10% chance of rain today. Temperatures in the mid-80s, winds from the northeast, 10 to 15 miles an hour. A 20% chance of rain tonight. 78 degrees at 21 minutes past 8 o'clock.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Renewal by Anderson, supporter of the American Cancer Society. Information about Renewal by Anderson's October campaign to help defeat cancer is at renewalbyandersoncares.com. From Indeed, designed to be an end-to-end hiring solution for businesses of all sizes to attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one platform. Learn more at Indeed.com/NPR. From Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments' team of specialists tailor portfolios to each client's long-term goals. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. And from listeners like you who donate to this NPR station.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Leila Fadel in Washington.
And I'm Steve Inskeep in Tel Aviv. We are covering the Middle East war and also covering violence in the United States. In Lewiston, Maine, hundreds of people gathered for a vigil last night. They remembered 18 people killed last week in the deadliest mass shooting in the United States this year so far. Maine Public's Patty White reports.
It was standing room only in the 1,500-seat Basilica Church where people packed into pews, hugged and cried. At least 1,000 more gathered outside by candlelight to honor the family, friends, and co-workers who were killed at a bowling alley and a bar last Wednesday. In between songs and music, faith leaders
Austin is from Pathway Vineyard Church in Lewiston.
Please, Lewiston, do not lose hope.
He told them not to let the shootings divide them and offered 2 pieces of advice.
That would be to be a people who listen well and a people who love well.
The vigil was one of the first opportunities to come together after a 2-day lockdown while police searched for the suspect. His body was found Friday night. He died after an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. As the community tries to come to terms with the loss of 18 people who ranged in age from 14 to 76, the grief extends beyond those who directly lost a loved one and beyond Lewiston's borders. Kimberly Finney lives in the nearby city of Augusta, but she says she grew up here.
I haven't been able to cry. I've been so mad.
Come on.
I in Augusta, yes, I've lived there for a long time, but it's not my home like here. This is where my heritage is. This is where I grew up. And someone attacked it.
Finney says she wants to see stricter gun laws so other communities don't have to endure another mass shooting. Here in Lewiston, Finney says it will take time, but they'll persevere. For NPR News, I'm Hattie White in Lewiston, Maine.
The drugs Ozempic and Wegovy both cause dramatic weight loss. They lower blood sugar, make people feel less hungry. The medications mimic a hormone that the body produces naturally after eating. It's called GLP-1. Reporter Michaeline Duklev has been studying this hormone, and she's discovered there's a way to increase it by changing what you're eating. Think for a minute about what you had for breakfast. A bowl of oatmeal, a breakfast burrito. No matter what you ate, when the nutrients in the food reached your intestine, they triggered the release of GLP-1 into your blood. This is the hormone that Ozempic mimics. Sinju Sundaresan is a gut physiologist at Midwestern University. She says GLP